All right, folks, we're going to learn how to edit one of our light painting stencil designs that's been light painted in the studio. We're going to go and open up our CR2 file. Make sure it is the CR2 file, not the JPEG image, okay? We're not going to raw process the JPEG. We are going to raw process the CR2 file. All right, so you're going to need to probably raw process this more than once. And so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust this down for the exposure, just make it a little bit darker and give me a little bit of details in the face here. I might adjust the temperature a little bit to warmer and bring the tint down just a little bit. I'm going to give it some exposure, contrast, some contrast. Um, Bring the highlights down just a little bit. Bring the shadows down a little bit. Um, Maybe bring the whites down, give it a little more black value tone, add some texture to this, add some clarity, which will make it a little sharper. Give it a little bit of dehaze to dehaze the image and add a little bit of vibrance, saturation. And then I'm going to open the image. I'm going to do this again one more time. I'm going to raw process it one more time. And this time I'm going to pay more attention to the text and bring out some more vibrance in the text, maybe make it a little bit lighter. I was raw processing the first time for the face. So I'm going to go ahead and and open up that CR2 file again. And this time I'm going to bring the exposure up just a little bit on the text, a little more, but I'm going to bring the blacks down a little bit and maybe a little more dehaze on that one and bring the vibrance up a little bit more, a saturation a little bit more. Yeah, okay. And I'm going to with the highlights. Yeah, I want to bring the highlights down. Shadow right about there. And I'm going to go ahead and open this image. Okay, so I like the lighter text from this side of the image on the right side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go select all, edit, copy, and come over to the first one and do edit paste. So I have two of these in here. I'm going to unlock the first layer so that I have just as layer 0 and layer 1, okay? So I'm unlocking it by just double clicking on it and I'm unlocking it. And sometimes this comes up as well. Just close that. Okay. I'm going to put a layer mask on the first layer, layer 1, by clicking right here. And I'm going to go in with black over white. And I'm going to reveal this lower layer by going in with a soft round brush, a little bit bigger, maybe at about 50% opacity, and going to make this a little bit darker in here and show a little more details. Okay, so we can see how that's, I'm going to just blend this in a little more here. And what I want to do is go to this 0 layer and I'm going to duplicate this layer because I want to change some of the color a little bit. And on this 0 layer, I'm gonna go over here to Image, Adjustments, Hue, Saturation, and I wanna make the eye area a little bit more of a teal color, okay? And I'm gonna turn on this top layer here. Just continue blending this in. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to add a layer mask onto here, and I want to get rid of some of this green. I'll put this at 100% opacity because I only want to have the green like where the eyes are, and I'm going to get rid of the green here. So this is an option. If you want to have some more than one color, let's say in a section, you can just duplicate the layer like what I've done here, and then go into Image, Adjustments, Hue, Saturation, and just change up the color a little bit. You don't have to do this, but if you want to, you can. And I'm going to bring some of that green back in just a second. I'm just going to do white over black, and I'm going to go in with a little bit smaller brush and just bring some of that green back on the eyes here. There we go. Okay, great. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and use this cropping tool. I'm going to bring this edge in a little bit and bring this edge in a little bit and just kind of crop the sides a tad. But I'm going to leave a little bit of a border because I think it's called a sloppy border, which is kind of a traditional photography technique. And then now what we have to do is we need to flip the text. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all these layers by holding down the shift key on my keyboard and selecting all these layers, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to do a duplicate layers, and then I'm going to merge these layers by right clicking and going to merge layers, and I'm going to call it text, okay, because this is going to be where I'm going to duplicate. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. I'm not duplicate, but where I'm going to like flip the text. I'm going to go edit, transform, flip horizontal, and then it'll flip the text so that I can now read it. And what you want to do is kind of zoom in and see if you maybe need to do a little burning or dodging in certain places. So I feel like I'm going to duplicate that layer. I'm going to call it burn and dodge. Okay. And I'm going to go over here with my burn and dodge tool. But I'm mostly going to be doing some dodging just right here to bring out that text a little bit more, just so we can read it a little better. Just brighten up just a tad. Um, yeah, just kind of just brightening it up a little bit. And then I want to like add a final kind of vignette to the edge. So I'm going to come over here and do a solid color black. And I'm going to go in with a big soft brush at about 50%. And I'm just gonna like click here in the middle and just kind of bring it all the way out to the edge. And I'm gonna make sure the edges are really dark. Go in with a smaller brush so I can really kind of go around and make sure these black, uh, just a black edge. So if I kind of turn it off, you can see that I just kind of darkened the edge just a little bit. But I don't want to impact my design, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm just darkening the edges a little bit, making sure they're good and dark. But I'm going around this edge. I want to make sure okay. And there you go. This is how you're going to fine tune your image.